Hey guys, KIMEKO back again, and I am here with part 3 of how I went to prison in Jamaica. So when I left off, I talked about how I had just got sentenced to 6 months in Fort Augustus State Correctional. No, it wasn't state. Fort Augustus Correctional Facility in St. Catherine, Jamaica. St. Catherine, West Indies, Jamaica. You guys, so after we got off of the bus that we were like this, we got to the prison. And at that time, the prison, let me give you the layout of the prison. So the prison was surrounded by water. It was like Alcatraz, surrounded by water, and it was like a huge open space on the inside. There was when you first walk in, there was the first building that you go into, and that's where the warden actually sits and stays in there. And so you go in there and you meet with her, and she looks you up and down, and you know, makes you feel like you're this big, and she tells you her expectations, and then you go into the prison. You go into the prison, like on the left side there was the kitchen, and then after the kitchen there was a corridor that you walked down. That corridor had I think 12 dorms in it. Down the corridor on each side there was 12 dorms, and in the dorms you had 12 beds, and then you also had a huge room in the back that you could put 2 beds in there. You could actually put 4 beds in there, or sometimes a person stayed back there by themselves. It just depends on who it was that was back there. I was never able to go into any of the other dorms. Well, I went into one dorm one time, and I learned that was a no-no, which that's a whole other story, so we'll get into that later. But you have the big room in the back. And so this is how my dormitory was set up. You have the big room in the back, and you have toilets in the back, and you have showers in the back. Now, once you come out of the dormitory, you keep going down the corridor. At the end of the corridor, there's 2 cells that sit outside by themselves. This is all made of brick. Let me just inform you guys that the prison was in deplorable conditions. I mean, when you hear going to prison abroad, it's just that. So I'm going to get into that in just a sec. So there was those 2 cells that were in the back by themselves, and that was the chute. So when you do something wrong, or you get into a fight, or whatever the case may be that you do that's warranted for you to go to the chute, equivalent to the hole in the States, you get put back there in those cells, back there by yourself. Now mind you, it was all an open space. There was nothing on top of any of this except for the sky and the ocean surrounding you, the Caribbean Sea actually, and the barbed wire going around the prison. Once you got to the end of the corridor over by where the shoe is, those 2 cells that were by themselves, there was like a shed. The shed is where we put our luggage that we had inside of the jail, with all those dirty clothes and stuff that we had to lay on. Excuse me. And also what was in there was like a little supply. That thing got locked up, and there was a supply where they kept the supplies. So what they give you is your uniform. You get 2 uniforms. One is just a regular plain, I think like a denim. I think it was denim. A denim type uniform. And it's just, they call it a frock. And it's nothing but a front and a back. It's just a pattern of a front and a back sewn together. It wasn't anything special. The jean one was just regular, just like, then you had a dressy one. So there was the denim one, the denim frock that you had, And then there was the one that had, it was beige, and it had stripes. It had like teal color and green and pink and yellow, like pastel color stripes going down it. And you also get a little hat to put on, and you also get a belt. Now, and you also get no, they didn't give you that. They give you carbolic soap, and they give you pads for your period. And that's all they give you. That's it. Oh, they give you a sheet, and they give you a blanket. A fitted sheet. Oh, they give you a mattress. My bad. So they give you a mattress, they give you 2 uniforms, and you get the carbolic soap, and you get the pads. That's what they give you. So if you have somebody that can bring you something, then, you know, that's cool. Some people didn't have anything. Now, Gina, the lady that was the stone cold crackhead that was in jail with me, she actually came, and she was in my dorm. So she kind of took to me, you know, because she knew me from jail. Now, once you walk into the dorm, there's, I believe it was 6 or 8 beds, or maybe even 12. I think it was 12 beds, like I said before. And once you walk in, you know, you have the Jamaican ladies that are looking you up and down and letting you know, they're not for no shit. They weren't like combative, like they wanted to fight you. They were more or less like mothers. You know, they were in there. They were lifers. They were in there for whatever they were in there for. Murder, throwing acid. That's a big thing in Jamaica. They threw acid on somebody, or stabbed somebody up, or fraud, or whatever it was that they were in there for. There was several different women that were in there for different reasons. But I'm just speaking about my dormitory. So I went into the dorm. I brought my mattress in. So you walk in with all this stuff. You go in, you put your mattress on your bed, and you make up your bed. Now, they make sure that they tell you how your bed is supposed to be made. Your bed cannot be made sloppy. Your bed has to be made up a certain way. So you make up your bed, and then you that's your little space right by your bed. Now, in my dorm, there was a girl called Myrna, and Myrna was what I called like the head of everybody in the prison. Like, she was, nobody was gonna screw with Myrna. And so she worked in the kitchen. She would also, let me back up with telling you about Myrna first. Let me finish telling you guys about the prison. So the prison itself was like a landfill. It was like a landfill. It was like trash everywhere. It was terrible. There was a little chapel. It was like a little house where we would go on Sunday to church. There was a little building where you could, where the officers were able to get their food and stuff like that. And they would cook food there, and you could buy food if you had money on your books. Excuse me. There was chickens running around in the prison. There was pigs in the prison. There was pigs and chickens. Oh, there was rats this big. Remember, I told you we're surrounded by the Caribbean Sea. So there was big, gigantic rats that would come in. And when I tell you these rats, they were huge. So when you go into your dorm, first thing they told you is you cannot sleep with your hands hanging off of the your bed. Their bed set up a little high. It was a wrought iron bed frame, and you put the mattress on it. And then there was like surrounding the bed, there was another frame up top, but there was no slats or anything in there to put another mattress on top of there. I guess if push came to shove and they got overcrowded, they could put slats and then put another mattress on top of there, and then, you know, it would become a bunk bed. But for the most part, we had little separate beds. So they said, make sure that when you sleep, you keep all your limbs on the bed, on the mattress, because the rats would come in at night, and they would be coming in at night looking for food, and they would definitely bite you. So we had the back of the dorm, there was showers. There was like 4 showers, and there was those huge oil containers that you would, oil drums, and that's what they kept water in. They kept the water in there. We'll get to why they kept water in there in a minute, but there was water in there. There was no running water in the prison, none whatsoever, other than in the kitchen and also in the where the officers ate their food at. There was running water, but there was no running water in the prison. It was looking like a landfill. There was pigs in there, and there was chickens in there because the warden sold the eggs to the locals. So you can come to the prison and buy eggs. You can come to the prison and buy meat, because they would slaughter the pigs too. There was also a little house that was there as well on that, in the prison, where you could go get your hair done. It was a beauty salon, if you will. So you can go get your hair done by the other prisoners. And what else was going on in that prison, baby? It wasn't no joke. So that was that. Now, the fact that there wasn't any running water in the prison, the water would come on twice a week. Sometimes they wouldn't turn the water on at all if they wanted to punish us. So when the water came on, all you hear is people saying, water on, water on, water on. So everybody goes and runs and grabs their 5-gallon bucket, or if they had that big paint bucket, what the paint comes in, I think that's 5 gallons. I think the little small buckets, we had the big buckets like with the paint comes in, and then we had the little small buckets like a pail. And so you would run to the faucet. There was only 2 faucets, and everybody would line up and they would be ready to get their water, as long as the water was still running. Sometimes you would be standing in line and they would turn the water off, and you might be the 3rd person in line and the water turn off and you don't have any water for the rest of the week. So not only do you have those 2 buckets, but you also keep any of your 2-liter bottles. You keep your 2-liter bottles. Now let me tell you what this was for. You keep your 2-liter bottles and you fill that up with water, and that's your drinking water. Okay? You keep your big 5-gallon, the white 5-gallon paint buckets, and that's what you catch the water up to the top, and then you take it and you put it in that big drum that I was telling you about, that's at the back of your each corridor. I mean, I'm sorry, not corridor, at the back of each dormitory. So as many people that can get as many 5-gallon buckets, fill it up with water, run back to the dorm, pour it in the big 5-gallon, whatever, how many gallon, 50-gallon drum, pour that water in there, and that is what we would use to bathe, because again, there was no running water. And then you had the bucket, the little bitty bucket, and you would fill that up with water too, because that could be your own reserve water for bathing. So basically the big drum was just kind of reserved water in case, the water didn't come on. So I don't think everybody had a big drum in their in their dorm. only certain people had drums in their dorm. People that had been there for a long time, people that was in good with the warden, you know, people that, you know, I don't know. It was crazy. It was crazy. Don't ever go to prison in Jamaica. Don't ever go to prison abroad. Don't ever do anything to go to prison. It is not glorified. It is not nice. It is not fun. It is not cute. It ain't nothing cute about it. You don't get no props. None of that shit. It ain't no joke. It ain't no joke. Don't go. This is the reason why I'm making these videos. Somebody hopefully can see all of this. Or, you know, understand what the heck I went through. It was crazy. So, it was, you're sentenced to hard labor, mind you. I had and still have asthma. So when it came time to hard labor, what that would be they would give you axes. And you would have to go down and chop down the trees in the prison. And you would have to come and you would have to pick up the trash. And so that's hard labor because you're out there baking in this hot sun, picking up trash and all this stuff. And then the men would also come into the prison. The men would come from Kingston. There's a male prison down the road. And these guys would come and they would just be like all in the back of a pickup truck hanging out, like hanging all out the truck and, you know, catcalling to all the women and, you know, this is their time to get out and, you know, catcall. They would also throw weed. So in the prison, we were smoking weed too. Go figure. Anyway, and you would run out there and catch it. That's if you're out there doing your hard labor. And, you know, and also the women, they couldn't wait for the men to come. You know, they knew that the men would be coming like on 2 days a week. And so, you know, they get ready, get themselves together. Now, like I told you, there's 2 uniforms. One is just the jean uniform that you put on every day. That was your everyday. And then you have the one with the stripes when you have a visit or if you're going to breakfast or going to lunch or something like that. They didn't make dinner. No, they did do dinner. They did. They can't not give you dinner. But that's what you would put on if you wanted to, you know, look nice. If that's nice. But anyway, so that was the setup of the prison. And if I think of anything else, I will definitely add it in. But that's what it was looking like. It was straight like Alcatraz, and it was dirty and terrible, and that's all you had. Stay tuned because I'll be able to tell you guys how that guy named Cargill, he came through for me. He came through. All right, you guys, stay tuned.